Yeah. Oh, here we are on the business rules form. Sorry, list of business rules. We search for business rule, and within system definition, we find a module of business rule. If we go there, we are here on the list. So if I click a new, create a new business rule. So we see, so the first is name. Okay, it's not loaded yet. So in the name, I mean, again, we specify what the business rule is doing in short, like we give it a name. Okay. Then we have a table, that on which table this business rule will will be executed. Um, yeah.
Yes,
So
today
business
also
rule.
like I mean, is the service slow or my system is slow? Like I think the loading time is taking too much.
Um, I'm not sure. I mean, loading time in the screen sharing, because audio seems to be fine, right?
Yeah, audio is good. But I mean, when I'm seeing the cursor is moving fine and everything. So when
Hmm.
the complete new record is like loading, the blue color upper that one, it
Okay.
is slow one. So I thought,
It seems the page itself is loading a bit slow.
okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, so now, business rule. I mean, if you see the name itself, it says business rule. Business rule means, I mean, if there is a process, right, and we have to configure some process based, or which are business requirements based rules into our system. Let's say we have to validate something while submission, or we have to add some data to the submitted data of user while submission. I mean, when the database is going to be updated, or when something is going to be deleted, at that time we use business rule. Okay. So it has to be specified that on which table this business rule is going to run. And then we have, okay, we'll use the advanced, we use generally the advanced. Then we have the when field in the when to run section, which says when, before, after, async, or display. So before means the whatever action we specify in this business rule, this will be taking place after the user submits the form, but before the database is updated. Okay, just follow me right now. I will try to help you understand better. Okay,
Okay,
after business rule means that once the user has submitted the form and the database has been updated, after this action needs to be taken place, or this business rule will be executed. Async is something when the transaction is completed, which means the user submitted the form, the database has been updated, and the response is back to the client, and user has control of the form. This transaction has been completed, and then this business rule will be executed in the background, not in the same transaction. And then we have display. So display means whenever a form is loaded, at that point in time, if we want to take any server side action, then we will write a display business rule. Then we have insert, update, delete, and query. So if I say when, before insert, okay, these two combination. So this means that, let's say uh, this is client, okay, and there is a form open here for any particular table, and the user submits the form, submits or saves the form. Now somewhere the application server is located in, let's say, in Mumbai or in Hyderabad. Somewhere the application server is located, and within this we have database as well. Now as soon as the user submits the form, if it is a new record, let's say we are creating a new if we take the example of our hotel, if we are creating a new check-in record, or if we are creating a new room record. Okay, let's say we have constructed new rooms in our hotel, and we want to add it to the rooms table. Okay, so whenever we create a new room, at that point in time, the user opens the room form, right? The form for the room table, and fills in the required information and submits, right?
I got it. Like so, but the business rules works like could take me like an example. Like I mean, just listen to my version. Like so I understand like a business rule is like let's say I filled a form. Could
Hmm.
you open the options for the new record, please? The insert before and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Hmm.
Could you drop down when? So if it's before, so before filling the form, it will be getting the rule or like what?
No, no, that's what. Okay. So let's say I have configured this business rule on the room table. Okay.
Okay.
And we are going to add new rooms into our room table.
Okay.
Now, whenever I open the form of room table, let's say, okay, we have not created module for room. No.
I mean, you just show the function of the. I think you just show the other one.
Uh, Other one means,
Like the close section, and for the you create a module for that one.
okay, okay. Initially, okay, fine. Good. Now, let's say I am going to room record or room table, and I want to add a new room. Okay. Now, this is all happening client side. Okay, let's say 301 and floor number is 3. Now, if you see this diagram, okay. Now, first of all, I am on the client side, right? Because my
Yeah.
instance is open on a browser. This is the client end. I have opened a form. Okay, this is a form for room table,
Okay.
right? Now I have filled in the information. Now this is a new record. I mean, this information is not available in the database yet. I
Yeah.
am filling the data on the form,
Okay.
right? Now, as soon as I submit this, this is a new record. As soon as I submit this, there is
It will
a
be.
before business rule will be executed first before inserting the record into database.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. After submitting, it will be
Yes,
giving the before run. Okay.
yes. Okay.
Okay. Got it. Okay. If a business rule is
Now,
applied, then if you click the submit, then the
hmm,
business rule applies, right?
yes, right.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this means you see, I mean, the form loaded for a couple of milliseconds, and then the form control is back to me. So what happened in the meantime? My my client sent the data from browser to database to insert a new record, and action was taken place in database. I mean, a new record was added to the hotel to the room table, and then the control was returned back to me. Okay. Now, before
Could you
business
tell
rule,
me
if
again,
you see
please?
here.
Could you tell me
So
again the return control back that one? I didn't
so
understand that one.
once we submitted the form, you see there
Mm-hmm.
was a couple of milliseconds when the form was, if you see the this browser tab, it was loading for a couple of milliseconds, and then
Yeah,
I
you got a
the
response.
yes, I got a response, and the control of the form was back to me. I mean, while the form was loading, I couldn't make any change to the form,
Exactly, because it was
right?
loading.
Yeah, because it was loading. So what it was loading, it was actually the client sent the data to database or the application server to update the database, and the response was returned to the client. After that, I got the control of the form back,
Exactly.
right? So before business rule works when the submission goes to make any change to database, before the change actually takes place in the database, before business rules execute.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's say we are inserting record into room table. Now the database has been inserted with a new record in the room table.
Okay.
After that, the response is returning back to client. At this point in time, the after business rules execute.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
so
got it.
by time there is not much difference, but by logic, this is a complete difference of action. Right, if we want to take some action before making any change to the database, we use the before business rule, and if we want to make any or perform any action after the database has been updated, we write the after business rule.
Okay.
Okay, then we have async and display. Right, so let's say I'm reloading this form. So if you see, the again the browser tab was loading for a couple of milliseconds, and then I got if control of the form. While
Yeah.
the form was loading, I couldn't make any change. So this form was displayed to me. Right. Let me clear this thing. Couple of things. Hmm. Now, when I open the form on a client end, if I open the form at that point in time, the display business rules run while the form. I mean, the control is not with me yet. Okay, the display business rules run whenever a form is presented for any table, for any record. I mean, if we have configured for that particular table a display business rule, then display business rules will be executed when a form is loaded. So again, let me show you the list from this. Okay, so let's say I'm opening this 201 and keep notice of while the browser loads the form for this 201 record. Okay, now I clicked it open. Okay, for a couple of millisecond, the form was loading, and then I can make the change to the record. So while this happened, the system executed all the display business rules which are configured for this table, and then presented the form to me.
I
Just
mean,
understand the architecture now. We will discuss the
there's some
usability. Yeah, better.
practical stuff.
Okay, so this is display business rule, and then we have the async business rule.
Yeah.
So the transaction went from client to server while updation or insertion. Okay, we got a response back from client to server, and we have the control of the form now back. Okay, now the system has scheduled the async business rules to run anytime whenever the system resources are free to execute in the background. Okay, so before business rule and after business rules are happening in the same transaction. If you see, there is a transaction happening between client and server, right? Client
Yeah.
sent a request and client received a response. Okay, this is one complete transaction. So before business rule and after business rules run as part of this transaction. However, a sync business rule, they don't run as part of this transaction. Okay, they are asynchronous. Again, the name itself is making sense, right? It is asynchronous. It is not synchronous of this transaction. Okay, if we want to take some action which we don't need to happen immediately, which we don't want to see the impact or the effects or the actions immediately on the form or in the system, if something can wait for a second or 2 seconds, and it can be out of transaction as well, then we can use an async business rule which will take its action at a later point in time, whether on this record or some other record or wherever in the system.
I didn't get one. Like, I mean, I so you're telling me like in the async,
Hmm.
like as in the BBR and the AFR,
Hmm.
both of them doesn't work for this one because asynchronous is a complete giving the response, not on the like same time or like not on
So
the
it
it's
is
not
not.
it's
So it is not part of this. Sorry, it is ABR. I'm sorry. First of all, secondly, it is not part of this transaction. So there is no request response in this async business rule.
okay.
Okay. What the system did, it evaluated while let's say we are writing a business rule on a sync insert on room table. Okay,
Okay.
this means that we have inserted the user submitted the form right here,
Yeah.
the request went to database here
Data user
before
response.
business, yeah, before business rules executed, the database got inserted with a new record, and the response was returning at that point in time after business rules got executed, and now the user has control of the form. Okay,
Yeah.
now within this transaction the system identified, is there any async business rule configured for insert? Yes, it is. Okay, schedule this to run afterwards. The system says schedule this to run afterwards. We, since it is an async business rule, we don't want it in the transaction. Okay, this transaction will be completed and the async business rule